Greetings, hi, this is Cheryl. Again, this is my second on-face video. This is my verbal response to Natalia on her Council of 7 oracles. And as I mentioned in my last video, I have what I have. Some I bought new, I'll point those out, but I basically have what I have. And it is a divine timing, and it was a divine timing I am pushed to do this. And I thank everybody so much for giving me this space. So I don't have a whole lot of time, but I want to get these done and load it because that's my sacral and throat chakra, which my guides, myself, my higher self, whatever, wherever it came from, it's what I'm supposed to be doing. There is no question. And I started this channel during, like I said, the Lion's Gate, and I've just been stumbling along. I'm pretty isolated, but I am just in passion. Back in my passion. So to start with, every day that I do a reading, every time I do a reading, I pick a goddess card. And I have a couple of different goddess cards. Of course, one of my very most favorite goddesses is Matt. I do have a Matt oracle ordered, but not the one that like Tarot Map has. That one is a little out of my price range today, but the one I have follows the Book of Thoth and such, and it'll do. So these are not really goddess cards. Well, they are, but they're prayer cards. And they come off a private Etsy site, and I will link that below. My girlfriend keeps me supplied in these cards, and there's Lilith, and they are just gorgeous. When I do a reading, I try to pull the highlights of these cards as an education. I just straightened all these cards. Okay, they're okay. They are just absolutely gorgeous, and they work into the goddess system, education, aspects, all that we are. There's actually a couple men in here that, these are some fierce women here, I want to tell you. You want to go in with those dragons and cut out some aspects. And I left a couple men in here. I've got Pan, and he used to sit on the romance corner in my feng shui, and I guess that's what I got. But actually, Pan is the son of like some really high up god, like not Jupiter, or I'm not even sure, not Ra, but way up there. And there's one of Hermes, because he did work a lot with healing. But a lot of warrior women. And here's this Gullivig that Tarot Map did a interview with a woman who was chronically ill. And this was a goddess that she worked with. This goddess comes up for me a lot. She is thrice burned, thrice survived. Anyway, some pretty cards. I'm still shaking. Like I said, this is my second time in front of the camera. And I mixed these cards, so I can't quite mix them because they're different sizes. Like I said, I will link that below. But I have this other, I'm going to call it an old deck. I've had this for 20 years. I love her artwork. I used to have her calendars. I used to have her date books. I used to live in a castle. That's kind of where she came in. And it's by Susan Seddon Ballou. I'm sure you've seen her shamanistic stuff. It's been around quite a while. So I have 2 goddess decks, but I work them together. Of course, the smaller one always falls out first. This is one I had on my wall for years. I wanted to be this healer shell woman. She's actually Navajo, and I did end up down there. These are beautiful cards. Here's the High Priestess. I'm 68 years old. I've finally been forced into this. I admire the people that are doing it younger. What is that glittering? Got a few crones in this area. You know, Lady of the Lake, Bast, of course, Kuan Yin. So anyway, this is my goddess aspect cards. Makes me look at myself. Sometimes, you know, you could just keep putting those cards back in, and they just keep, oh, setup's falling apart here, but it's my reading setup. They just keep coming back. So every day I work with a goddess. I probably should be pulling a goddess in my room. I'm spending so much time on tarot and writing out my spreads and recording them with all these god-awful blurbs and burps, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and that I'm using my divine will, and that is the point, right? That is what we have to do. Now, these old cards, I didn't mean to go to them next, but I am. There's an old Doreen Virtue deck. 2000, year 2000. It's one of my newer decks from 2000. I have the fairies because I'm way into the elementals. And I have the angels because they're really pretty. But they don't have, like, who the angels are. And these are kind of feel-good decks. But I'm using this deck because I live on an island. I am a Pisces. Pisces are into dissolution. Pisces are into fantasy. I'm filming both of these, by the way, with a Scorpio sun and still in the frequency highly of the Taurus full moon. So, yeah, these can be light, but they also kind of hit on. Like today the card was seek someone that knows more, and I'm looking at doing, I'm on my way to the clinic this afternoon, I'm looking at doing referrals to pain specialists and to orthopedics. And I'm also having issues with all this Medicare stuff because I'm so far removed from the system. You know, I even had my kids at home, the whole bit. Even if I wasn't RN, So anyway, I use these mermaid cards. They're light, but sometimes they get deeper than I think. And I'm not a big, these are Hay House. I used to listen to a lot of the Hay House women on the radio when they had Hay House radio. I don't even know if they still have Hay House radio. So that is the mermaids and the dolphins. And I don't have at this time, because I want to get these up, where on my council these people sit, but maybe from what I say. So there's my water. There's my water right there that, you know, I'm on a little 22-mile long island on the South Texas coast. Shaman, that's the one I had listed. That is this deck. This is a deck that I bought new when I started because I thought, my God, you know, I got to buy a couple. But when I began reading tarot, there were no cell phones. There were no computers. It was drive 75 miles into Missoula and see what we could find, you know, as far as books. There and half-price books. I was very lucky that in the early 90s, my girlfriend had a metaphysical bookstore in the Bitterroot Valley, and she chose me to work there, so I cut my nursing back, worked in the metaphysical bookstore not for money, but for goods, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm off track again. So these shaman cards, when I first got them, I wasn't quite sure. I am so sorry I got that glare. But as I use them, I find them to be really relevant to me. You know how the cards are. They just don't seem to be there, but they really click in. And as I said, this is that primitive side. I don't have a lot of earth in my chart, but I am definitely of the earth. So the water's in the earth, right? Anyway, I very much enjoy these cards. They seem to hit home, and the pictures and the colors work for me. And like I said, divine timing, I am working with what I have. And this is what I have. So there's a lesson in this for me because oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming. I mean, the whole tarot community, the whole tarots available is just absolutely amazing. So I've done those 3. Another deck that is extremely special to me, and I have had this deck, oh my God, over 20 years. In fact, this deck, this is the old medicine, animal medicine cards. I don't know how many there is in here, 35 or 40. This one has lost it. It had an Indian nickel. But I made these bags for them. They were so special for me. And it comes with a book. And I made a bag for the book. So I was living way up in a cabin. But a shaman friend came not too long ago and worked on me, and he brought me 3 animal decks, and one that he brought was this one. And where my book is partially falling apart, this one even came with a brand new book in purple instead of red. I don't know. I like these cards. I mean, the book is good, but the main thing about them is I like these cards because they're one words. You know, like you really, these are still sticky, they're so new. You know, like wisdom or industriousness. I don't know them all. I have them written in my book of shadows also that is totally falling apart. So that's how old they are. What is this? Crow. And I mean, they cover everything. They cover to alligators, to salmon, to the cats, which I think is totally feminine energy. You see, there's an alligator. I said it and it appeared. Respect. Skunk is respect. I remember that one. Armadillos. Pretty wide range. I use these for grounding. Also, spending 35 years in the Rockies. The animals are very special to me, and I've always been a child that had lots of animals. I love horses. I love cows. I love wildlife, all of it. Let's see. The 3 more decks I'm going to bring up is I met a cousin that, you know, when you have cousins from Louisiana, you got cousins. But anyway, we went to Austin and we went to a rock shop and to a Michael Tellinger lecture. And he gave me these 1111 cards. And I wasn't doing tarot still at that time. It was like last year maybe. But I call them, this is a tool for aligning with and anchoring your own angelic presence. And I am a frequency worker. Frequency is where it's all at. I didn't think much of them. I didn't play with them. But I have started to, I don't know what thing was. This thing is freezing on me. I don't know how to do this. My daughter bought me a makeup light to use when I'm doing my videos, because that's how she saw people doing it. And look, I didn't even remember to turn it on. There it is. Anyway, light I see, light I feel, light I am. The river flows, I flow with it. I am the light and the sun of the golden day. Now these I use a lot with those Hubble telescope because they remind you from where you came, what you are. You know, the energy is here to serve you. Energy responds to consciousness. Divine marriage, uniting oneself. The yin and the yang. Alignment. Anyway, it's interesting because I thought the tunnel, the journey, as Dr. Richard Allen Miller said last night on an interview, you know, on your journey to enlightenment, don't be so focused on the enlightenment that you forget the journey, because that's where you become the master. Abundance in its flow. So I have found, I call these my star cards, and the other one, I guess, my cosmos cards. Anything I need to say about that? The elementals of the water with those. It's the animal medicine. Remind me of the Rockies. Remind me of all my native influence working with the Plains Indians and some of the southern tribes. The star cards are my time jumping cards. That's it. Now, Where are they? These cards I bought new. My second edging actually. And I was actually going to put this away, but as I mentioned before, I am sorry about this glare. I am so new at this. My second video face up, all right? It is so important. Love, of course, is important. Beauty. Invisibility. You know, I'm 68 years old. I can shapeshift. I am invisible, you know? I'm invisible in this society, but what else is invisible? Lots of skulls in here. Witches. That's this could be likened to talismans. Leave the light on. So I was going to put these away, but like I said earlier, because of the bones, our DNA, our blood is made in the bones. Everything is in our blood and our bones. We're carbon, we're gases, we're salts. And because I had trouble making 7 that I was going to put out here, you know, I have the fairies and then the Doreen, but I wasn't going to bring them. So I decided to put the Halloween in here. And then the other cards that I really don't know how to use, I mean, I did the spread. It's thick deck. By the way, here's the Halloween thing. You've seen them. They're just mass-produced common. This is Carolyn May's archetype cards. And I've studied a lot of her medical intuitive stuff. And, gosh, I wish I could think of his name off the bat.